Hey, what's going on? Today I'm going to be talking about what needs to be changed about Vanguard or needs reconsideration. I say needs reconsideration because it doesn't necessarily have to be changed. I just believe some of these things need to be considered by the developers if that's truly what they want their mechanics to be and how they really want their game to work. If it is, I'm not telling them they have to change it. I'm just saying it might not please your players, and don't be surprised if it doesn't. Okay, so firstly, the glaring problems. We have visual quality. I play on PC, so it's much easier for me to see player models than those on console. However, I still have an occasion where someone's in a dark corner or near, invisible, or impossible to see. Secondly, there's no differentiation between ally and enemy models. Unlike the past two COD games, which have had specific operators for each team, this game just has a group of soldiers that all look similar to the same characters. The only real differentiation is a tag above player's name. A real fix for this, well, a fix for this, would be, for both of these, would be to add some player elimination, like what we've seen in past COD games where enemies had red lighting on their clothing to give awareness to position or team sighting. I know people complained about this in the past for not having realistic effects, but it's an arcade shooter and we're not here for realism, we're here to have a fun time. Secondly, the maps. Personally, I feel the maps we have been given currently, aside from Red Star, are alright. They're nothing impressive, however, I think they're a-okay. That doesn't mean they're good. I just like some of their diversity they're trying to offer, with the versatility, the verticality, and the sizes. However, problem with these maps is that they're admittedly too big to be played on for most other modes aside from Blitz, with any semblance of an arcade shooter. COD is a fast-paced action game. Right, fast-paced FPS. Large maps have never been fan favorites. However, medium and small maps have. Examples like this are Nuketown, Dome, High Rise, Rust. Even maps that were designed to be crazy mayhem like Shipment gets the praise because it was designed that way. And every map wasn't made to be extreme, so it's brief, enjoyable getaway from the typical feel of Call of Duty. So Shipment has a place. And I believe the developers know this because you guys keep bringing those maps back. Look at Cold War. The maps on Cold War are enjoyable with a few exceptions. Most are medium 3-lane maps. However, looking at Modern Warfare, which is a clusterfest of undesirable map making, I believe the biggest cause for this poor map making is Modern Warfare wanted to make tactical gameplay, which led to camping, which is awful. Cold War wanted a more classic style of gameplay, which made the game feeling right, but feeling really dated also. Most people consider the game to be boring as a result, as well as, well, they brought back so many maps. And I actually enjoy the maps that they make that are new maps, but they kept bringing so many more old maps. It kind of makes me sad because they had potential. As well as, I believe the leading causes for the map design for Vanguard is their new 3 pacing system. Tactical being the classic 6v6 is no longer this classic 6v6 is no longer the target audience. And you guys are targeting audiences such as a new assault mode and a new blitz mode, which includes higher player counts than a standard 6v6 meant to encourage faster gameplay. By that I mean, if you go to the menu, the quick play menu in Filter, you can see that assault mode is what they want the standard to be now. And assault mode is more player counts than what players are used to, and overall it's less enjoyable for certain players like me who enjoy tactical 6v6. For example, assault mode says combat pacing preference defines the number of players in a match. Assault mode pacing targets average time to engagement with high action combat. Average time to engagement. That means that their target audience has changed from the 6v6 to the 8v8 to 10v10, the assault mode game modes for the maps, right? Their target audience is no longer just their standard 6v6 player base, because now their average time is for assault, right? And tactical says increases time to engagement to create intimate and intense combat feel. Tactical should be the average, okay? To put it simply, tactical is just not the target audience. You guys are making new stuff for assault mode and blitz and higher playing counts, and the standard 66 is meant to encourage faster paced gameplay. That would be fine if the maps were designed though for lobby of 6v6 players. You guys are making maps for 6v6. For tactical. I'm sorry. You guys are making maps for assault mode and for blitz mode, right?
How long would that
These two maps, you guys are supposed to be higher player counts for higher paced gameplay, and that doesn't work out well though. And that's because you guys should be making maps designed for 6v6 players.
Dang.
Having designing maps anticipating to play having to play. However, designing maps anticipating players to play the larger game modes does not make the larger player count modes feel better. Rather, they feel basic because, except with the nuisance of clusters of enemies being with each other. You know, in the slower paced game modes like 6v6 or tactical, which should be the default game modes, being completely slowed down to a snail's pace. To fix this, maps should be designed with the anticipation of 6v6 player counts. That way, when people pick up the higher player count game modes, they're getting higher intensity they wanted. When they pick the normal 6v6, they get the more classic feeling. Though, it may be too late to fix this for most of the maps, because the game's coming out pretty soon. I imagine most of the maps have already been developed. But ongoing, I believe we should focus more on making maps fit for 6v6. That way, when you pick the higher game modes, it'll feel more mayhem, not necessary. Okay, so thirdly, we have spawns. The spawns in this game are pretty unpredictable, and all around, not great. If I remember correctly, ancient COD games had, by ancient COD games I mean games like Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops 2, Black Ops 1, etc. They had a spawning mechanic that prevented players from spawning in front of other players, direct line of sight, using camera directions and whatnot of other players. However, this game feels as if it's forcing conflict by spawning us in front of others whenever possible. Blitz Patrol is a definition of awful spawning. Seriously though, this needs to be fixed. We are forced to play on larger maps, however the spawns feel like we're playing Shipment, which actually makes no sense. Lastly, I'm going to talk about the TTK. The TTK, or time to kill, for those who don't know. While I like the idea of giving players more control over their guns, time to kill, I don't believe the method it has been implemented into the game is optimal, to say the least. To put it in perspective, the default TTK of the Tommy gun or the M1928 is 250 milliseconds, which is not my cup of tea. I like longer time to kill, which allows longer played out gunfights and prevents the feeling of instant death. Like Cold War had a bunch of other problems though. However, if that was to be taken as a default time to kill for a weapon, I just wanted to point out how drastic I can change my time to kill. So by default, the M1928 time to kill is 250 milliseconds, which is quite a bit faster than slower than Modern Warfare TTK, right? Which I hated Modern Warfare TTK, but that's besides the point. I can customize M1928 in the beta to have a TTK of 169 milliseconds faster. I mean closer. 169 milliseconds, which is much closer to Modern Warfare's significantly faster TTK. And honestly, it's dramatically faster than the default TTK, almost 100 milliseconds faster. Now, the gun kills in 3 to 4 shots, depending on where I'm hitting my opponent's limbs or not. What matters though is the gun shoots at 895.5 rounds per minute, and it's fairly easy to control at long distances. This means I'm able to challenge anyone up close to medium range and practically insta-kill them. Mind you, this is the beta, not the full game. In the full game, I would have access to attachments that'll boost the fire rate farther, such as recoil booster and hollow point mag, which will lower my TTK to a consistent 150 milliseconds, no matter the limbs. The only thing changing this is if I get a headshot or not. By the way, gameplay in the back is with this gun setup. What I'm saying isn't only applicable to the M1928. For example, the STG can be reduced from 344 milliseconds to 207 milliseconds. The bar can be reduced from 375 milliseconds to 179 milliseconds, etc. The list goes on. So, for most people who already feel like the TTK is fast, when the full game comes out, it's going to be rough at first, but going to be hell for any newcomers of new guns later, once people have leveled up their preferred weapon. I believe a fix for this is to make the maximum TTK these weapons can reach to be the default TTK. What I mean by that is the M1928 TTK maximum TTK should be 250 milliseconds. This is currently the default. The default TTK should be around 300 milliseconds. I say 200 milliseconds because I believe the gap between the maximum TTK and the default TTK should be smaller, maximum 50 milliseconds. That way, when you got someone, I mean, for example, this difference should just be this way, because how would it be fair if someone was using a default bar and they got killed by someone with the upgraded bar, and their upgraded bar is guaranteed to kill them minimum 200 milliseconds faster? Now, there are some other problems, like the footstep audio, which I believe is very divided amongst the community, so I don't really want to talk too much about it, but I'll just give my little 2 cents there. Some people are loving the ability to free roam inside the game, and others are frantically begging for louder footsteps. I'm on the side of it being fine currently, because the same people asking to increase the footstep audio are the people who are going to ask for dead silence to be a perk, knowing full well everyone's going to just be using dead silence, and we'll end up in the same situation. So why not just let everybody have the ability to be quiet? But I'm not against a slight increase in the footsteps audio if necessary. However, I do believe landing audio needs to be increased. Jumping down from a ledge simply shouldn't be completely quiet, as well as the gun audio also needs to be investigated. Anyhow, if you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Let me know if you have any rebuttals down below, and if you liked the video, let me know by clicking the like button and possibly subscribing. See ya.
Recon airborne, eyes up. They have the patrol zone. Sit down. Patrol zone is ours.